have read 164 books so far this year. Not all of them have been amazing, but here is my top 10-ish books that I read in the first half of 2020. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel at least twice a week, and then movie reviews or book to movie content at the weekend. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any of that content. My social media links as well as my blog and my Goodreads are always in the description box below, so you can catch up on my reading in between videos. Today I'm going to have my top 10-ish books that I've read so far this year. Looking at my list, a lot of them were read in the first part of the year, which is interesting, with the exception of the first couple that I'm going to share with you. This list is going to be in no particular order, and there are a couple of sneaky extra entries in there that I've managed to put under a separate category. So yeah, let me know in the comments if any of these have made your list as well. So the first book that I want to talk about is kind of a sneaky entry because technically it doesn't come out until July, but I did read it in June, and this is, of course, In Case You Missed It by Lindsey Kelk. This comes out in the UK on the 23rd of July, and I have a whole video review talking about this one coming up for you, I think, or already up, depending when this video goes up. So once it's up, I will leave it linked up above. If not, make sure you hit that bell so that you are notified when that video lands, and you will get to see the wonder of this novel. Then the other book that I read in June that also made the list was The Black Flamingo by Atta, which is a memoir in verse, and the audiobook for this one was fantastic because it is read by the author, although I do have this one on ebook as well, so I can go back and look at different passages. This book has been all over social media this month, being Pride Month, and so I'm sure you have heard of this one, but it made my list of top 10 books of 2020 so far. Then we have another one which I think will be of no surprise to you. This one is The Switch by Beth. This is her follow-up novel from her absolutely fabulous debut, The Flat Share. I made a whole video talking about The Flat Share, so I will leave that linked for you. But you know, second book is always hard, but this one is absolutely fabulous. It involves two people switching places. They are different generations, they lead completely different lives. Both are kind of open to some dating, and so comedy ensues in that sense, but this book has real heart. It's so well written and it was just a delight to read. It's adult rom-com at its best. Then we have something a bit different. This is my favorite poetry book I've read this year so far, so technically it doesn't count on the top 10 because it's in a different category. This is Pillow Thoughts by Courtney, Peppernell, and I have made a whole review of the 3 books in this series. There is a 4th book coming out in August. I'm very excited for it. I listened to these on audio, but then I ordered the physical copies so I could go back and reread and mark and tab up. So watch that video to find out why I love this book. And this is another sort of bonus entry on the list for me. And then one which I have a whole video review talking about is My One True North by Millie Johnson. I will leave that video linked up above. This is UK adult rom-com, Yorkshire rom-com, and it deals with some really tough issues, but does so in such a fabulous way. Go and watch that video to see my full review and see why it made my top 10 books of 2020 so far. I wonder if any of these will pop up on my books of the year at the end of the year. You'll have to make sure you go back and watch this one and then watch that one to see if any crossover. It's always interesting for me to see as well. The latest Louise Candlish novel is next on my list. This is The Other Passenger, and I have made a whole video review of this one, so I will leave it linked up above. It was fabulous, and I really do need to go back and read her back catalogue. This is an adult thriller with an element of mystery, all set around new year 2019-2020, so it's an interesting time to have a book set. Then we have a new favourite Paige Toon novel of mine. Earlier on this year, I embarked on reading Paige Toon's entire back catalogue, ready for her new book, The Minute I Saw You, coming out in May. And there are a couple of new favourites on there for me. I haven't included any rereads on this list. I never sort of include those in my top 10. They're always books that I've read for the first time here. And so we have One Perfect Summer by Paige Toon, which is 100% my new favourite Paige Toon novel. I absolutely loved some of her other novels. I've made whole videos talking about them here. I have a whole Paige Toon playlist, so I'll leave that linked up above. But this one is one of her backlist titles that I just absolutely fell in love with. It felt so amazing and it was just so lovely. And her new one, The Minute I Saw You, feels a lot like this one. Two soulmates, three broken hearts. Like, what a tagline. When did this one come out? This is definitely one of her older ones, but I read it and I just absolutely adored it. 2012. But this is my new favourite Paige Toon and is definitely one of the best books that I've read this year so far. And then a bonus entry, because this is also part of my Paige Toon reread-a-thon. I also really loved The Accidental Life of Jessie Jefferson, and really I'm kind of including the whole trilogy on this list. I listened to the 3 young adult Paige Toon novels revolving around Jessie Jefferson, who is the daughter of Johnny Jefferson, famously from Johnny Be Good and Baby Be Mine. But I really loved these books. I really need some more of these, and if I keep saying that in enough videos and enough blog posts, that Paige will listen and give me another one of these, or give me a Where Is Jessie Now novella even, because I really enjoy these, and the audio is very good, so highly recommend the audio of these ones. But this is again it's a bonus entry because really this is the book, but also I loved this series that I read. Fine. And then a couple that I read in January, again kind of solidifying the fact that it's earlier on in the year that I read some of my favourite books. I read New Beginnings at Glendale Hall, which is the second book in the Glendale Hall series by Victoria Walters. Her third book is coming out not very far away. I feel like we've got book news on Victoria Walters. It was like, will there be a third book? Will there? Won't there? And now there's definitely a third book and it's coming soon. But this one features a hot priest and a lot of baking and cakes. So if I can't sell you on it that way, I don't know what will. I absolutely loved it. It was so cute and so lovely. And to be able to read this again for the first time would be delicious. I may reread both Glendale Hall books before reading the third one if I have time, because I think I would take great pleasure in doing that. It's definitely one of my top 10 of the year. And then I can't remember, was this the first book that I read in 2020? It may have been. This is Mr. Nobody by Catherine Steadman. I really need to read her first book, Something in the Water, because it's made into a film or a TV show that'll be coming out soon. But I loved this one. This is a thriller, mystery, crimey. It gets quite violent in parts. There was a bit that definitely made me wince and kind of turned my stomach a little bit. But it kept me guessing the whole time. And I absolutely loved it. And it was a great way to kind of kick off the reading year. Yeah, a few titles from January there, a few titles. And then we also have another one that I've got a whole video talking about. This one is Strangers by C.L. Taylor, her latest thriller. It was fabulous. I really enjoyed it. It felt very different from her other thrillers, but in a really good way. Not that it needed to be different, but just it was a bit of a change, and I liked that change. And I have a whole video talking about it, so I'll leave it linked up above because I loved it. And C.L. Taylor is almost guaranteed for her novels to make my top 10 lists of the year. So that should have come as no surprise. And then we also have one that was, as you know, it was actually a big surprise for me. This one is Pretending by Holly Bourne. And this one, I expected it to be just another, obviously really well written adult rom-com, but it was something so much more and deals with the idea of what it's like when you have been a victim of sexual violence, what it's like to then carry on with your life, what the aftermath looks like, but not just that immediate aftermath, the long-term effect, and what it's like when, you know, you want to be just like your friends and going out and dating and doing things in London and meeting up with people and having a good time, but what that is like when you are a survivor. And it just deals with it so well. Everybody I know that's read it has been blown away by it. Obviously take a look at the synopsis, take a look at care warnings for you, but if you're good to go on those, I highly recommend this one. It's one of those that's definitely stuck with me since I read it, and I think I read it during a readathon as well, so you've got my kind of reading vlog thoughts if you haven't seen those already, but yeah, highly recommend this one. And then another bonus entry, so I definitely did keep it to 10 because I've had a couple of bonus entries, one that's a July release, one that's poetry, one that's technically by another author and is a series, and then the bonus release, if I can find it, I've lost my picture, here it is. This one is bonus because this is my favourite book to movie adaptation that I've read this year, and it's another one that didn't come out this year as well, but if you haven't already seen it, I do have a book versus movie on Room by Emma Donoghue. I had already seen the film and then I downloaded the audiobook and listened to the audiobook. I thought the audiobook was fantastic. I really enjoyed this. Emma Donoghue does have a new one coming out soon-ish that's set around a pandemic thing, Spanish flu, but having read Room, I will definitely be seeking out her new book to read, because I absolutely love this one. And if you haven't already seen that video, I will leave it linked up above, or if I've run out of above links, it'll be linked in the end screen right here, because we're now at the end of the video. So make sure you check out that one to see why I loved Room so much. So let me know in the comments, what have been some of your favourite books that you've read so far this year? Is your reading pattern similar in that you've got books that you were favourites that you read in like January, February, or have some of the more recent releases been hits for you? I'd be interested to hear if anybody else has got a similar pattern, because it's been interesting with publishing dates being moved around and things like that. So yes, make sure you are subscribed so that you don't miss any of those future videos. I have some more bookish content and some more book to movie videos coming up for you very soon. So subscribe and hit that bell. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you with my next video.